be, do you think a part of that reason, and I'm going to just open this up to whoever wants to jump right in, do you think a part of the reasons that Asians and Afro-Caribbeans, that we are affected by this probably more than non-Asian and non-Afro-Caribbean, more than the white community, in terms of drug abuse, in terms of gang violence, do you think part of it has to do with not enough positive role models?
Sanyya, I think particularly within the Asian community, some subjects are taboo. They are not discussed within the family, and there's no platform within the community where the issue can be raised. So the lack of awareness and perhaps it's also a denial from within the community and within the society. They think if we come out saying member of family is involved with drugs or gangs, we'll get stigmatized. Also, the society or the community, the secular community will say, oh no, I don't want to come in the open. So people think we will get stereotyped,
right,
saying it's prevalent in this particular family, or particularly it's prevalent within this among section of the community. So they just need of openness. And
right. Now we've been saying that there isn't just one isolated reasoning for this rise, or there isn't just this one cause that's making drug abuse rise and more youths joining gangs. There's a collective reasonings that are contributing to this problem, and part of that is also the lack of, like you mentioned, not being able to talk about it with your family, with your parents, with community leaders, with people that are looking after you. It's this whole stigma that's still attached to discussing drugs and gangs. Paulette, you mentioned something very, very interesting off air, that as we mentioned, that gangs are being formed by postcodes and where you live, and it's actually bringing a lot of different ethnic backgrounds together.
Yeah. For myself, what I've seen of gangs, it isn't always that the gangs are black or Asian or white. It's now where you live. Many people become affiliated by where you live and also by the school you attend, and they will kill for each other. Doesn't matter what colour they are, and that's actually brought a level of unity, but for a negative reason. And what I'd like to see as a counsellor is some of that work being made more positive, because there is a lot of good work going on in the city, but I think this is where the police, social services, the voluntary sector is vital in this. They, without enough funding, where they manage to get into those communities and they're pulled out because of lack of funding and they get disbanded, that makes a really big impact on any future work we can do in any community, because once you allow a young person to become disillusioned, it's then twice as difficult to then get that young person to engage again. So it is really also about the funding that's put in for these young people, as well as community leaders like myself and Chairman Lau. We're out there, we know what's going on. The faith leaders are vital. If we've got problems in Answorth, what we do is one of the main people we call are our faith groups. We can't get to some of the communities without them, and they know how to do it.
And that's where I feel we need to do more with our faith leaders, taking more of an active role in addressing this issue and offering guidance. Mr. Rashid, you're from the Bangladesh Center, aren't you?
Yes, I am from Bangladesh Center and working there as an advice worker, and also I'm community worker and parish counselor in Castle Bromwich.
So do you deal with, do you have people coming to you that have been affected by drugs and gangs?
Well, like any other community, Bangladeshi communities, especially the youngsters, suffering a lot, because the problem is that as an advice center, we have got no guide them exactly where to go. Therefore, only the parents and the family members coming to the center seeking advice what to do. We usually send them to primary care trust clinic and various Muslim center just for seeking advice. But the problem, the youngster don't want to go there. And how we can make them to come to center and discuss this problem and solve it. It is a big problem. It is a national issue. It is not only one category of people, it is worldwide. And we are seeking advice from the higher authority, from the government, and started it from the grassroots level, why it's happening, how they can overcome from it. And I have seen, grandparents came to the center and asking, Mr. Rashid, how can I keep that sort of problem out of my grandchildren? His father is so-and-so, and he's still at it, and he's telling lies, and he's telling also lies with us, and he only think one thing, this is the drug.
Right.
And this is big problem, and I am seeking the higher authorities' attention to start it from the grassroots level, and also uh, addressing it in various languages, whether everybody would do Hindi, Bengali, every communities can read and learn the awareness and how they can overcome from this problem. It is a national problem,
Right.
and we want to solve it, and here I am.
Can I make a point which I think will help with your point? In the area I'm a counsellor in, we found a big issue with our youngsters actually dropping out of school and then going into the gangs and drugs and what have you. And the biggest thing that I found was because people were dropping out of school, not really engaged in school because of language barriers and what have you, they weren't work ready. And we need to have the appropriate types of training out there so we can get our young people work ready. And this is why in Answorth, around estates that we've had problems with, we've tried to do a great deal of work looking at issues around education, how to provide the appropriate level of education to get our young people and employment work ready, so that you see, many of our young black boys, if you put them in the workplace, they'd never survive unless you get them ready to go into that environment. And I'm pretty sure that's the problem in your community. So because they can't work, what they then do is they find other things to keep them occupied.
Well, as we've learned through this hour, this is not an issue that's a Bangladeshi issue or a Pakistani issue or an Afro-Caribbean issue. It's an issue that we're all dealing with together. If you're watching our program, know that you're not in this alone. We're all in this together. You've been watching Broken Silence. I'll be back next week, same time, same place.